Over the empty Pacific, a voice crackles. "We are on the line 157-337. Fuel is running low." Then silence. This is the heart of the Amelia Earhart mystery, the quest to learn what really happened in her final flight and whether she went down at sea or found land. That question, what truly became of the trip, anchors every moment of this story. Amelia Earhart was an American aviator, a pioneer who, in the 1930s, became a symbol of skill and independence. She flew the Atlantic solo in 1932, set records, and used her fame to expand opportunities for women. In 1937, she set out to fly around the world near the equator, a route longer and more dangerous than any she had faced. She flew a twin-engine Lockheed Electra, modified with extra fuel tanks for long ocean legs. Her navigator was Fred Noonan, a master of celestial navigation who had charted Pacific routes for Pan American Airways. The world in 1937 had no satellites, no global positioning system, and only limited radio direction finding. Pilots relied on maps, the sun and stars, and radio beacons. After an earlier attempt ended with damage in Hawaii, Earhart planned a second try, heading eastward from the United States through South America, Africa, India, and Australia. Then from Lae in New Guinea to a speck called Howland Island. Howland is a low coral atoll in the Central Pacific, only a few miles long, built up by the United States as a refueling stop. The Coast Guard sent the cutter Itasca to stand by, transmit signals, and lay a smoke plume. On July 2, 1937, at dawn in Lae, Earhart and Noonan lifted off heavy with fuel for the longest leg, more than 2,000 miles. Weather reports were uncertain. They aimed to use radio direction finding to home on Itasca. For hours, they flew over an empty ocean. As morning turned to midday near Howland, problems converged. Clouds made celestial fixes difficult. The Electra's trailing wire antenna had been removed, limiting long-range communication. Earhart transmitted on a frequency the ship's direction finder could not use, and she could not hear the ship clearly. Itasca heard her say she was near, low on fuel, and could not find the island. The ship sent smoke and repeated bearings, but she never reported seeing them. The final messages came swiftly. She gave a line of position, 157-337 degrees, a navigator's shorthand drawn from the rising sun that morning. It meant she would search along that line, running southeast toward a cluster of islands or northwest into empty sea. Then the radio fell silent. The United States launched what was then the largest search in Pacific history. Navy carriers, cruisers, and seaplanes combed the waters around Howland and the nearby Phoenix Islands. For weeks, they scanned the ocean and the reefs. No trace was found. Families waited, newspapers speculated, and the central question hardened into legend. Did Amelia crash and sink, or did she land somewhere and vanish after? The most straightforward answer is called crash and sink. It argues that, unable to see Howland and running low on fuel, Earhart flew along the 157-337 line, then descended to the waves within a few dozen miles of the island. The strength of this view is its simplicity. It matches the last transmissions, the known fuel endurance, and the failure to obtain a usable radio bearing. Deep water near Howland drops quickly, which could hide an aircraft on the seabed. Multiple modern searches have scanned likely zones and found nothing, yet the seafloor is vast. A second line of thought says she landed, at least briefly. This Nikumaroro theory focuses on Gardner Island, now called Nikumaroro, on the southeast end of that same line. In 1940, a colonial officer found partial human bones and camp remains there. He measured the bones, called them male, and they were later lost. Decades later, researchers reanalyzed the measurements and argued they could fit a woman of Earhart's height. Other expeditions found a broken jar of freckle cream, like the brand she used, remnants of a campsite, and pieces of aluminum that some believe matched the Electra's construction. A tiny object in a 1937 photograph of the reef edge has been interpreted by some as a landing gear. Skeptics counter that the artifacts are ambiguous and that the bones are gone, so proof remains elusive. Other proposals persist. Some suggest a forced landing in the Marshall Islands, then Japanese custody, perhaps on Saipan. These stories grew during and after the Second World War. fed by rumor, misidentified photographs, and memories told years later. Searches in archives and on the ground have not produced verifiable records, aircraft parts, or graves that can be tied to Earhart and Noonan. Another idea points back toward New Britain or Papua New Guinea, where a handful of wrecks and anecdotal accounts have surfaced, but none have been confirmed as the Electra. So what really happened? The most supported explanation remains crash and sink near Howland, driven by fuel limits, radio miscommunication, and the immense scale of the Pacific. The best case for a landing points to Nikumaroro, where a reef could have served as a makeshift runway at low tide, allowing brief radio calls that some listeners reported in the days after the disappearance. And the central theme, the search for what really happened, still pulls explorers, historians, and searchers back to the same line on the map, 157337, where courage met